The theme and structure of a digital story. Today, we embark on an exploration of digital storytelling, how we craft narratives that resonate, engage, and connect with our audiences in the digital age. Our journey begins with two fundamental aspects of storytelling: theme and structure. These elements form the bedrock upon which captivating digital narratives are built. Let's dive in. Part 1. Understanding theme. To start, let's unpack the concept of theme. In storytelling, a theme is the central idea or message that the narrative conveys. It's the beating heart of your story, the meaning that lingers with your audience. Themes can vary widely, from love and resilience to identity and social justice. They provide depth and purpose to your narrative. Developing a theme requires careful consideration. Ask yourself, what message do you want to convey? What universal truths or insights do you want your audience to grasp? Think of your future story. Will this story be about 1. The story about someone important. Character stories center on a person who's touched you in a deep way. Often, these stories reveal as much about the narrator as about the subject of the piece. Memorial stories pay tribute to someone who passed on but left a lasting impression. 2. The story about an event in your life. Travel stories, stories about a personal journey or passage, can be effective if they result in the narrator being transformed by the experience in some way. Accomplishment stories about achieving a goal, graduating from school, or winning an honor can easily fit into the framework of the desire-struggle-realization structure of a classic story. 3. The story about a place in your life. Our sense of place serves as the focal point of a great many profound stories. 4. The story about what you do. People find value in their work, hobbies, or social commitments, and can weave wonderful stories from their experiences in each. 5. Recovery stories. Sharing the experience of overcoming a tragedy, challenge, or personal obstacle is an archetype that always has the potential to move audiences. 6. Love stories. We all want to know how someone proposed, met a spouse, experienced the birth of a first child, or came to terms with a parent. Exploring these kinds of relationships helps affirm our own. 7. Discovery stories. These stories probe how we uncovered a truth or learned how to do something. Here's a step-by-step process to help you develop your theme. Identify the central idea. Explore the depth of the theme. Connect it to your audience's experiences. Let it evolve as your story progresses. Now, as we have a grasp of theme, let's move on to the structure of a digital story. Part 2. Crafting the structure. The structure of your digital story is the framework that holds your narrative together. It's how you organize your content to convey your theme effectively. At its core, a digital story often follows a classic narrative structure. A beginning that sets the stage, a middle that develops the plot, and an end that provides resolution. However, in the digital realm, we have an array of interactive elements at our disposal. Videos, images, audio, and text can all be strategically used to engage and guide your audience through the story. To create a compelling structure, consider these techniques. Non-linear storytelling allows your audience to explore your story in their own way. Timelines help provide context and order to historical narratives. Interactive maps can take your audience on a journey through locations. To enter the structure even more into details, I can tell you that there are 10 steps criteria for evaluating and creating a digital story. If you consider and include all of them into your story, you will develop coherent, and interesting content. The Center for Digital Storytelling, which we've been following on a webinar on digital storytelling, has created 7 steps elements for digital storytelling, which are often quoted by other sources. The University of Houston has used these 7 steps and developed them into 10 steps for educational purposes in the university context. We will follow the same 10 steps criteria in our video. 1. The overall purpose of the story. At the end of the story, we need to see a change in the characters or the situation. The story needs to show a before situation and an after transition, a change. Without it, there is no story because nothing really happens. 2. The narrator's point of view. This question refers to the perspective from which the narrator tells the story. Who is telling the story? 3. Is there a dramatic question? This is the biggest question implanted in the reader's mind, and the desire to know the answer to that question is a large part of what keeps us reading. It is the central conflict of the story. For example, in a detective story, is the detective going to catch the murderer? 4. The choice of content. A story has 5 basic but important elements. These 5 components are the characters, the setting, the plot, the conflict, and the resolution. A good story needs conflict and resolution, tension and release, mystery and revelation. There should be losses and gains, setbacks and comebacks, peaks and troughs. And above all, a story should be about people, their dreams and desires, loves and hates, problems and passions. 5. Clarity of voice. A strong, good vocal quality when telling a story or narrating means having the ability to tell the story in an interesting way. It is about the sound of your voice, but also the clarity of the ideas. When you know what you want to say in your story, your voice will be clear. 6. The pacing of the narrative. Pacing refers to how fast or slow the story is moving for the reader. 7. Use of a meaningful audio soundtrack. Music and sound effects can make the digital story more meaningful. The soundtrack should complement the story and not distract the viewer from the main story. 8. Quality of the images. The pictures or short videos inserted in your digital story should be of good quality. Blurry images or sounds distract from the story. 9. Economy of the story. Details. Remember, a digital story should be between 2 to 4 minutes, so one cannot use 1,000 images or 1,000 words. Sometimes the pictures used will tell the story, sometimes the words will be enough. It is important to tell a compelling story in a limited space of time. 10. Good grammar and language use. Grammar and language mistakes should not interfere with the story. In conclusion, remember that the theme and structure of a digital story are intertwined. Your theme informs your structure, and your structure enhances your theme. From developing your theme to crafting a dynamic structure, it's a collaborative dance that shapes your narrative into an impactful digital story. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of the theme and structure of digital storytelling. These elements are your artistic tools, allowing you to craft narratives that resonate, provoke thought, and inspire action in the digital age.